Hey guys, I wanted to go over some while loops today. I already went over the for loop. If you want to check that video out, you can just tap on this card above. So let's say that we wanted to do a counter. I usually start them at 0. And the while loop is pretty simple syntax. So you'll just say while something is true. So you can do while counter is less than, let's say, 5, okay, colon, and we'll give it a parent-child relationship. So while this is true, I want you to print, just print what the counter is so far. Okay, run that, see what it gives us. Okay, so right now it's not printing anything. So we gotta make sure that we are have this true. So I did counter was greater than 5, which is false. So it didn't even run the loop, which is correct behavior. So while counter is less than 5, now let's try it. Cool. So we get an infinite loop, which is a common error, and it just keeps printing out 0. So we got to make sure that we increment this. So counter plus equals 1. And what this does, it's the same thing as saying counter equals the current counter value plus, if I can type, that'd be great, plus 1. So that's the same thing. That's just the shorthand of doing it. So now let's run it. Cool. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want it to include 5, so I'll say less than or equals to 5. Cool. So that's working properly. So while this is true, then do that. And inside of the while loops, you can even do conditionals. So we can say something like, if counter is ever equal to 3, then you can have it print we'll just say print out a string 3 instead of a value. Cool. So it got to 3 and it printed it out right there. Awesome. And you can even put in breaks. So if it does get to 3, we can just say break. And that should be it. Cool. So it does a loop, and once it hits 3, it breaks, and break will just say now just break out of the loop and continue the rest of the code in the program. Awesome. Now we can use continue. And the way that we would do that is, so we can put our incrementer up there, and I can say if counter is double equals to 2, then I want you to just continue. And so instead of printing 2, I just want it to keep going. And then have it print the counter. So let's see if that works. Cool. So you can see 1, skip 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so that worked properly. But now you can see that now there's a little bit of an 1 off. Now it's including 6. So you just got to watch out for that. Perfect. And while you're doing a while loop, you can actually here, I'll put counter back. You can actually use a else in there as well. So while this is not true anymore, you can put in an else, kind of like if else statement. You can say print counter is larger than 5. And then we want to make sure that we're printing counter up here. Cool. So counter is now larger than 5. And perfect. So that's working properly. And now let's do the while loop when it comes to strings. So I said before that the while loop in its conditional, it's looking for a true statement. So let's try this with Booleans. So do we want to repeat something? So I'll just say, well, repeat is true, and you can do repeat double equals to true like that, and then print repeat, and then I need to define it up here. Cool. So it's going to say repeat is true. So you can say it like this, but you can do a shorthand way. You can just say while repeat, and this will automatically ask, is repeat true? And it'll run the same way. Okay, awesome. So let's have it, let's say it's checking for user's input. So I'm just going to ask the user if they want to repeat or if they don't want to repeat. So I'll just check for their answer. I'll use the input function, and do you want to repeat? And I'll let them know to use yes or Y for yes or N for no. And I'll do the next line so it looks good. So now I'm going to say if their answer was double equals to Y, then I want you to say you chose yes. Just something simple so we know that it worked. And we can set repeat to true so that it keeps looping. And it's already true, so we don't necessarily have to put it there, but I'm going to just for the sake of reading it. Elif answer is double equals to N, then I want you to print you don't want to repeat anymore. Okay. And then we can either break or we can just say repeat is now false. So once it checks this and it sees that repeat is false, well, it's not going to ring true over here anymore because it's checking to see if repeat is true, but now it's false. Okay, and so that will break out of the loop, and let's just test that so far. And I'll say something outside of the loop. Print you are now outside of the loop. Okay, so let's run this. Do you want to repeat Y or N? So yes. You chose yes. Do you want to repeat? Yes. So it keeps going until I hit N. So it says you don't want to repeat anymore. You are now outside of the loop. So it saw that instead of looping back, it skipped everything and went outside the loop, and it's continuing the rest of my program. So that's working properly. Well, what if they put in, so this is really, really good for user input validation. So we want to make sure they're writing the right thing. So what if they put in 8 instead of a Y or N? Hit enter. Well, it repeats, which is fine, but we want it to let the user know that what they're typing is invalid. So we'll just put an else. So whatever else they put in that's not Y and not N, then I want you to say, print That is an invalid entry. Please use Y or N. Let's do next line. Okay. So let's try this again. So I'll say 8. That is an invalid entry. Please use Y or N. And then it repeats the loop. Do you want to repeat? Cool. And those work the same way if they type in yes. So that works just fine. So that is the while loop, and it's really good to make sure that it uses some of this code at least once, because I want it to check for this validation. And you can see here that if I put answer or this input up here instead, let's see. So yes, it will ask me the first time, so I'll say yes. But the thing is that it's never asking me for that input again. So now yes is always true, and you get an infinite loop. So remember, while loops will always run at least once. So sometimes you want some of these variables or these inputs to be inside of there. So just watch out for different types of errors like that. Cool. And so that works properly. That is the while loop. If you have any more questions or requests, just let me know down in the comments. And if you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe so that you can get some notifications once I come out with more videos for you. I try to do at least one a day, and so I'll be sticking with Python for now, but I'll also be doing other languages as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.